Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. My name is Rim Elijah, and I am the VP of Sales at EOS Data Analytics. That is a global provider of AI-powered satellite imagery used for scientific, commercial, and governmental purposes. And today, I'm extremely excited to be presenting this webinar along with Greenpeace on space tech and sustainability. Now, before we begin, we'll just run through the logistics of the webinar. So the webinar is going to be for an hour and a half. We have the chat on the right side. So please, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, feedback, selective questions to selective one of our speakers, do drop them in our chat here, and our moderators will be answering some of those questions. But I will also take some of the questions to be talking about them during the Q&A session. Now, before we begin and before I present the speakers to you, we'll have a pretty exciting agenda lined up for today. So we're going to begin with an introduction on the company, who we are, who is EOS Data Analytics. We'll tell you a bit about the products and the services that we provide. And then we're going to move over to the company's sustainability mission and our academic outreach program. We're also going to be talking about the environmental challenges in Argentina observed by one of the largest organizations in the world, the Greenpeace NGO. We're going to be talking and discussing the deforestation use case in the Gran Chaco. And also, we're going to be talking about the products and the services that makes it possible to solve some of the challenges observed by large NGOs worldwide. And also, we're going to be talking about a couple of use cases and its relevance on the importance of precision agriculture and how everything revolves around sustainability. And the icing on the cake is actually the EOS SAT constellation. I will be covering that part. And we're going to end the webinar with a Q&A session that's going to take us around 15 to 20 minutes. Now, please join me in welcoming our speakers, Mr. Sergio Domingo, who's the campaign researcher at Greenpeace. Sergio, would you like to say a couple of words?
My name is Sergio. I work for Greenpeace Andino, based in Argentina since 15 years. Well, I work a lot in forest issues in the last year, but also in the last years, but also in other issues around mining and around pollution, rivers, and well, several issues. So, and I'm focused. A lot of my job is focused in field work too. So I combine those, and we will talk about that in this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergio. We also have Vera Petrick, who's our Chief Marketing Officer at EOS Data Analytics. Vera?
Yeah, hi. I'm Chief Marketing Officer at EOS Data Analytics and the lucky marketer who promotes the product she really cares about. That's all.
Thank you, Vera. And lastly, we also have Brijesh Thopel, who is actually our Strategic Partnership Lead at EOS.
Thank you, Rem, for the introduction. A warm greeting to everyone. My name is Brijesh, and I'm the Strategic Partnerships Lead at EOSDA. I'm mostly engaged with our key partners from different business regions of the world. And today, during the webinar, I will elaborate more on how our products and services help our customers to realize the connection between satellite technology and sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. All right, so before we dive into the use cases and also before we have a very interesting conversation with Greenpeace, I would like to give a bit of a background about us as a company. So we are a company that has been operating in the market for several years now. We are headquartered in the States, but with several offices across Ukraine. We are a team at the moment at around 220 employees. Many of those employees are actually PhD professors and scientists, and they are the ones who do all the magic when it comes to our custom solutions. So we provide crop monitoring services using satellite imagery. We provide custom solutions such as crop classification, yield prediction, soil mapping, and much more. And we operate worldwide with customers coming from various backgrounds. So we work with IT, consultancy, NGOs, agtech companies, seed suppliers, chemicals. I mean, the list goes on and on. And we process millions of hectares on a monthly basis across various of our platforms. We are also very keen on establishing successful partnerships. We have at the moment over 20 partners, let's say active partners and resellers who operate worldwide. And I mean, we are present in every single country in the world, so we couldn't be really more exciting. And as you can see, we've been pretty active lately on social media, especially this year, because we've been, I would say, scoring a lot of those partners, a lot of interesting partnerships worldwide with users such as Tel1, Redtone, Greenpeace, and many others. Now, Avira, I'm going to pass on the floor to you to talk, so you can tell us a little bit about sustainability and also what is our mission and what is our vision.
Yeah, thank you, Rim. So hi, everyone. Super excited to be here and share our brand vision and mission and all of the social case studies we are working on. So our mission is pretty simple. We want to provide businesses with accurate satellite-driven decisions, which is quite obvious for our company. But our vision, our goal, or let's say a dream, is to make space tech a global provider of sustainability on Earth. And I know so many companies right now are into sustainability. Me, myself, I'm an eco-activist, and I'm happy to share that it's not only words. So for now, all of our products and custom solutions, what do? We align with the 10 out of 17 United Nations sustainability goals. So you can see them on the screen. It's climate action, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, and the list goes on. So everything we do, everything we develop, we keep this sustainable development goals in our minds. And what we do as marketers, except for the products, is we look out for the so-called social case studies. What does it mean? The social case studies means that we are trying to find someone who is in need because of the current situation of the planet, and if we can help them with our satellite technology. On the slide right now, you can see my top three. The one the first one is about the illegal oil spills in Ecuador, Amazon. The second one is unfortunate Tangier Island, who is gonna be sinking in the next 20 to 50 years. And my special, very important social case studies is the one with Hindu Ibrahim, who is a great eco activist from Chad and my personal inspiration. So she actually reached out to us with a need because she comes from Chad and her communities are scarce in resources because of the climate change. So they live without electricity. So they're indigenous people. So they move from place to place looking for resources, and they started obviously fighting on this. So what we did, we created a 3D map of their territory, showcasing the water places, the vegetation places. And after that, the members of 130 community members came to and pinpoint on that map the actual places of resources. And this way, we actually help them solve this issue, which is absolutely fantastic for me, especially. And we also have launched an exciting academic outreach program, which offers students, independent researchers, scientists, universities to use our products for free if they are promoting the same sustainability goals as us and are working on the same researches as we do. So if there is anyone in this audience, or if you feel that you know someone who could apply for this, we would happy collaborate. And I think this is it from me. I know I've been real quick, probably too excited, because the next person is going to be Sergio Domingo, who's actually one of the scientists that we're trying to build the community with. He's from Greenpeace, and he said, I don't think he needs much more introduction. So Sergio, please take the floor.
You are on mute. If you can unmute yourself, please.
Sergio, the microphone is...
Sorry. I think I was on mute. So yes, as I said, I work for Greenpeace since 15 years. I work in Greenpeace Andino, that we cover Argentina, Chile, and Colombia. But as I'm based here in Argentina, I work here in Argentina Forest. And the presentation is about how we can connect the use of remote sensing, the use of satellite images, and the field work. As I am the person who do that in our office. And the case study here is a forestation that happens in Gran Chaco Americano. So just for introduce you, the Gran Chaco region is like the second forest region in South America after the Amazon. It has around 1 million square kilometers, and 60% of that area is part of Argentina. Another part is in Paraguay, and the other one in Bolivia. It's a very small part, less than 1% in Brazil. But well, it's a very rich area, there are a lot of plant species, a lot of animals, and a lot of people also live there. Native people, peasants, indigenous people, so that they use the forest for living, for taking medicines, food, water, and also is one of the most deforested areas in the last 3 decades. Deforestation there is going forward and forward. Our work in Greenpeace Argentina is focused in 4 provinces in the north of Argentina that they represent almost the 80% of deforestation that happens in our country, and it's really high. It's around 2.5 million hectares in the last 13 years. And yeah, here in Argentina, and this happened also as it happens also in another countries, in another forest region, the agriculture expansion, for livestock, and also for livestock, the cattle ranching for livestock is really they are really the main drivers, for deforestation. And also in Argentina, the greenhouse gas emissions has a lot of it to do with deforestation. Yeah, and in Argentina, after the end of 2007, we have a forest law that represents, or maybe regulates, where deforestation can happen and where it is not possible to make deforestation, where are the protected areas, and where the places that the live people and needs to be protected. But as I show you in this map, the deforestation there is 2.5 million hectares. It's a lot, and it has a lot of increase in the first years after the law, then a bit of decrease, and in the last years we have again a small increase of deforestation. How we work with this combination of field work and remote sensing or desk work, as I said, we have a monthly deforestation monitoring, as we compare satellite images month by month, and there's a person doing statistics of that, and we use, of course, different sources, because, as you know, maybe you don't have too much images in 1 month, so use Sentinel, Landsat, but also you can use other sources too. And with that information, we have 2 ways of using that information. One is just to publish the statistics, to publish products as maps or reports, and also it's really important to have that information for checking in the field what is really happening, and show that and expose that. And some examples of what we have done. This is during pandemics, as we can go to the field, but we can't go to the field, but also the activities were prohibited in Argentina. So we produce a lot of information, as is shown in this case, but comparing field by field what was happening. Here is an example of what is happening in Santiago del Estero province. It's one of these 4 provinces that I mentioned. As we produce the map in the left that you see in the left, with each of these fields that is shown in the right. There you have 900 hectares of deforestation, and also, well, then we as we expose this, we also present all this information to the media and to authorities if it is required. And then, of course, how we use the land viewer, that's also important, because it's a really important tool for us, and for me specifically, because as I am the person who do this field check, I use the platform, and I take the statistics that we produce, but I also am the person who go to the field and make this check. So for me, it's important to see what is happening, and if it is a fire there, if it is deforestation is ending or is starting in one field. So here are 2 tools that are really useful to do that, to have a change detection, and also some things that I think is really important is to explain audiences what are you working on, what are you looking at. So for internal audiences also, when I have to explain to my partners in the press department or in other departments, it's really an easy tool to show what I am looking at, and also to produce products, because, for example, here is a time lapse that we use in social media, usually for showing this deforestation. And well, here in the next slide is like the methodology that I also used, is to take the satellite images and to georeference all the fields that I have spotted, and there we use different sources of or shapes of information to understand what is happening, if there is a permission there or not, so we can detect if it is illegal, and also if fire is happening, because fire is prohibited also in the forested fields. When we have all the information georeferenced, we travel to the locations and we check what is happening by plane, by small aircraft, and also by land. So, and of course, we produce reports or media content, or for social media also, to expose what is what is happening. Here I have an example. This is what we done in 2021 in Chaco province, inside the Gran Chaco Americano. The deforestation is prohibited because of a judicial regulation. We detect by satellite images that deforestation was happening. We georeference all the field, and we went to that field and check how bulldozers. You can see in the top of the right image that's a bulldozer making deforestation, and we detect it, we expose it, and we denounce it, and after that we deliver all the information to the judicial authorities to take action, because it's their responsibility, and our responsibility is also to show what is happening. So this is a clear example of the combination of our work. And well, finally, other 3 products that we work in the last years, 3 different way of combining use of satellite images, or the use of remote sensing with field work, but also with investigations in other areas. We have the first report is a statistics report about the deforestation in the north of Argentina. It's where deforestation is happening and the numbers of that. And the second report, Desmontes SA, Desmontes Sociedad Anónima, it's in Spanish, was an investigation that we delivered around 2 decrees that the province put for the companies to make deforestation in places where it was not allowed. So we have analyzed around 60 cases with documents, with official documents, and after that we georeference those fields and we go to the field and check that deforestation was really happening in protected areas. And the last one, the sacrificio de los bosques del Gran Chaco, in English is like slaughtering the Chaco forest. That the title of the report is, and that is a really interesting report because combine research about chain of custody of cattle ranching and livestock production, and so we have an investigation that we detect where the cows, where the animals, where the livestock was breeding in forest areas that were deforested, of course, and then that beef ends up in supermarkets and restaurants in Europe, and also we detect in Israel. So we need to analyze historical deforestation from companies, from satellite images, and also this combined with the field check, of course, and also with because in the field check also we analyze deforestation, but also we analyze conflicts with people there. So it was a really interesting combination of the use of this tool of satellite images, but also with investigations techniques around the forest. So that's it for my side. Thank you very much, and then I can get some questions if you need.
Thank you, Sergio, for the well-compiled review that you have shared with us on how you are using satellite imagery to preserve the biodiversity in Gran Chaco region in Argentina. It's very fascinating to read about it. And if I am allowed to ask one question about this project, what is the number of hectares, of deforestation that has been detected so far with this initiative?
Well, yes, deforestation in Gran Chaco and all the Gran Chaco forests. I mean, in Paraguay, Argentina, and Bolivia, we do not make that statistics, but it's around between 12 and 14 million hectares since 1985, I think, more or less like that. But as we have a very accurate statistics in the north of the country, as I said, it's 2.5 million from 2008. It's the forest law sanction, but it's how strong deforestation is happening. But also, if we can take in the last 30 years, in the last 30 years in Argentina, it's around 8 million hectares of deforestation, and most of that deforestation is focused, concentrated in the north of Argentina in the Gran Chaco forest. So I don't know if it's answering the question, but that's our numbers.
Okay, thank you. I would say that's a commendable result that you have achieved in Gran Chaco. So, and also for us, it's always good to know that our solutions are put in place and really solves the environmental problems for our customers. So the next agenda in our presentation, today's webinar, it's more about the products and services. Since we just finished the presentation from Sergio on the use case of satellite imagery on preservation of forest lands in Argentina, in Gran Chaco region. I would like to elaborate a little bit about the product, what they are using, Land Viewer platform. We already had a very good feedback from Sergio on the usage of the platform. So just to tell you a little more about this platform called Land Viewer. So Land Viewer is our first commercial platform developed in 2016. So the platform is used mostly by GIS researchers and also by agronomists, educational institutions, forest land management organizations, and even engineering firms to do the on-the-fly satellite imagery processing, and also at the same time search the imagery from different sources for the desired area of interest. So all this is done to get the valuable insights for critical decision making, for whether it is for business purposes or even if it is for educational or scientific purposes. The platform at present provides access to more than 20 satellite imagery sources, including 8 high-resolution imagery sources. And it's also possible to add new satellite imagery providers, like meaning access to new satellite data on the platform, not limiting to the imagery from our upcoming satellite constellation, EOSDA, about which we will talk more about at the end of this presentation. The key advantage of the platform is that there is no need to download the satellite imagery for local processing or arrange for additional storage to store those satellite data, satellite imagery for further processing. It is due to the fast cloud processing that works behind the platform. The users can look for, they just have to look for the satellite imagery and customize the imagery in the Land Viewer platform itself to obtain the desired output. So that's the main advantage of this platform. It is able to process a large amount of data. If we consider a satellite imagery, we can think about it in terms of like, I cannot even imagine the unit that we use, that we can use to measure the satellite data. Let's look at some of the main features of the Land Viewer platform. There are around 8 to 10 features which can be utilized, which can be used on the Land Viewer platform, but I will highlight just like 5 of the main features that are used by our users. So first one is bands. So users on the Land Viewer platform, they can select a specific band from a multispectral satellite image to make the satellite image more colorful so that the colors indicate the different features in an area of interest. So it simply means that the custom indices, for example, in case of agricultural monitoring, custom indices can be created on the same Land Viewer platform to analyze an area of interest. So it is to know the purpose of custom indices on a satellite image, as we might have heard about it, like it is to understand the health level of a specific type of crop in a particular area of interest. The second one, time-lapse animation. This is about downloading a video from the platform, from the Land Viewer platform, which is the video created from several satellite images collected at different time periods to visualize the changes within an area of interest. Third one, time series analysis. It's a feature that enables space-to-time analysis, meaning an analysis based on space and time factor, and visualizes the data dynamics by constructing a time series graph for the selected area of interest, for the desired area of interest where the user wants to have a time series-based analysis. So the Land Viewer platform provides our users with a large number of indices to apply to the satellite images, to the satellite image scenes of the area of interest. So this feature can be beneficial for detecting change in land use, developing vegetation growth, and even for developing dynamics on like different time periods. Fourth one is high resolution imagery. It's already clear for us that Land Viewer is like a catalog of a huge amount of satellite imagery. So whether it's a medium to high resolution satellite imagery, and those imagery can be further processed with a high level of detail with the help of the features available on the platforms. And this level of high resolution satellite imagery on the Land Viewer platform ranges between 30 and 40 centimeter per pixel. And the fifth feature that I would like to talk about is change detection. So it's about comparing 2 satellite images of the same area of interest taken on different dates, or even if it is on the same date. So this particular feature allows our users to measure how the attributes of a particular area have changed according to certain factors, like, for example, deforestation level, related to the use case presented by Sergio, what Greenpeace is doing in Argentina. Another example for a change detection that can be done on the LandViewer platform could be also related to impact of natural disasters, for another example. So LandViewer is a great tool whenever there is a lack of data for research or whenever there is a comparison required for an area of interest. And users can rely on LandViewer because it's a reliable system and a robust platform, which saves a lot of time. So I would encourage you to try the LandViewer platform, especially if you have requirements like the potential cases that we referred to today. So the benefits of satellite imagery processing and analysis does not limit to monitoring of forest lands, or just not limit to finding tracking detection in the change detection in an area of interest. But there has also been an interesting progress with the development of satellite technology and the related core technologies like machine learning algorithms, AI modeling, so that it can also be, the combined technology can also be used for like other industries, like in agriculture, for agricultural monitoring purposes. So before I talk about the importance of satellite tech and resulting analytics in precision agriculture development, which will follow after this slide, I would like to highlight the products and services that we have developed for the agriculture industry. So starting with crop monitoring platform, which is a digital and web-based platform developed by our product team in the year 2019. The platform can be accessed from anywhere and it can be deployed easily, meaning that all you need to have is a working computer or a tablet or a phone and an internet connection to use this platform. So to use the platform, it requires a license, which works pretty much the same with a similar concept of any SaaS product. Like as you try to obtain a license on any SaaS-based product, there is a license fee which you have to pay for to start using that product. So it's the same concept that works on our crop monitoring platform. The license fee on our platform, the crop monitoring platform, is measured on the basis of the acres or hectares that a user will monitor on that platform. So on the platform, we have integrated satellite data that are processed with our proprietary algorithms and AI modeling. So those processed data helps the platform users to detect changes in crop health and other factors that affect the farming operations. So therefore, it helps in creating a predictive analysis system for the users, end users, as in the farmers who are actually the beneficiaries of the agricultural activities. So the platform ensures that there is, with the help of the data on the platform, it is ensured that there is less crop damage, low resources consumption, and increased crop yield. And the same platform also provides certain tools to track weather, optimize nutrient application, and save operational time. So the data available of the platform can also be extracted over API. That is also one of the solution types through which you can leverage the data available on the platform. And another option is a white label version of the platform, which is also a viable product for most of our partners. And if you're interested to know more about these product offerings, and if you have any active projects that will require our crop monitoring solutions or the white label solutions, you can write to us at sales@eos.com for more details and for more discussion. And as you can see at the bottom of the crop monitoring platform section, at the moment, the crop monitoring platform is used by more than 950,000 growers in 195 countries. That's our latest statistics. That's about 50 million hectares of fields around the world, almost the size of the country Cameroon. Further, we have also developed the capabilities to implement complex solutions such as crop classification, otherwise called land cover classification or mapping, harvest status monitoring, identification of field boundaries, yield forecasting, and soil moisture analytics. The development of these solutions are overseen by our team of scientists from the R&D department who bring an extensive experience of agronomy and knowledge of AI ML technology. We have also started working on development of some specific new solutions like organic carbon measurement in soil. To give you a few references, we have successfully developed custom solutions to the World Bank, Raizen, and Bayer. And lastly, forest monitoring. I also wanted to mention a little information about forest monitoring. It is our new platform which was released in the year 2021, by the second half of 2021. It was developed to take the edge off the harmful effects of climate change, deforestation, and fire damages to the forests across the globe. So the platform is the backend of the platform, or the interface of the platform, is quite similar to crop monitoring platform, but it provides data or the data sets significant or more related to the forest land management. So it's an easy to use platform. It has an easy to use interface that helps the land management companies to maintain trees' health and get notified about key changes to the forest stands or the area of interest where the forests are located. As we already understood from the practical case shared by Sergio, the practical case from Greenpeace, that tracking illegal deforestation will also reduce the effects on like carbon cycle. That's one of the insights, one of the inferences of using satellite technology for monitoring. So more carbon released into atmosphere is what leads to climate change. So to share some examples how satellite imagery can easily boost or really boost the sustainability efforts in agriculture, I have collected 2 use cases from our partners. So let's have a look. So the 2 key use cases comes from our partners from Europe and Latin America. The first one comes from Czech Republic and describes how a partner consults their end users to keep the compliance with the EU Nitrates Directive. The second use case comes from Paraguay. The use of certain features on our crop monitoring platform helps a partner from Paraguay, from the Latin American region, to advise their customers and farmers on maintaining the soil quality and reduce the fertilizer application to a level below the soil degradation limit. So let's have a look into these use cases. So the first use case was collected from Agrinova Consulting, our partner from Czech Republic. So our partnership with Agrinova Consulting started in October 2021, last year. And under the partnership conditions, we provided them with an access to crop monitoring platform and relevant features to enable them to resell the data. That is the data which is the process data that is available through our crop monitoring platform. You can read more about our partnership with Agrinova Consulting on our blog page. So on the left of the screen, we are looking at a screenshot of an oilseed field located in Czech Republic. A rapeseed field to be specific. So rapeseed is a winter crop, known to be a winter crop that the farmers in European Union, they start sowing this crop, the seeds of this crop in the month of August or September. And it has a harvest season sometime in May or June, after going through a dormant growth stage or during the winter. So the task within this use case or within this case was to recommend the requirement of nitrogen fertilizer before the flowering stage of the crop. So now in the European Union, there is a special concern over the contamination of water bodies with nitrates. So due to the excessive usage of nitrogen fertilizers in the nearby fields, and the chemical getting mixed with the water and streams, there has been a report of a lot of nitrates being like water getting contaminated with nitrates, and a high amount of percentage of nitrates polluting the water and affecting the quality of water in the European rivers and streams. So the EU Nitrates Directive was aimed to reduce the water pollution in EU countries, and our partner Agrinova uses certain features on our platform, crop monitoring platform, like vegetation indices analysis, and a specific tool called vegetation maps, which is available on the platform, on the professional license on the platform, which helps in determining the vegetation maps, helps in determining the sections of the field that lack a certain level of photosynthetic activity required to obtain a higher yield. So indirectly, the vegetation maps, with the help of the level of photosynthetic activity, the platform is able to determine what is the level of nitrogen concentration present in a particular section or a particular zone of the field. So the vegetation maps directly show the spots or zones that have higher or lower concentration of nitrogen. meaning the sections of the field that have higher photosynthetic activity indicate higher concentration of nitrogen, and or vice versa. So therefore, the farmer, with the help of this kind of analysis, the farmer does not have to apply more nitrogen fertilizers on the zones or the sections with higher photosynthetic activity or higher concentration of nitrogen. So that's what the concept of using the vegetation maps. Vegetation maps, in other words, in other terminologies, it is also known as variable rate application maps, which helps in determining the rate of the rate of variable application of nutrients in the field. So in our crop monitoring platform, we have added a simple color code system as well, as you can see on the screenshot on the screen. Color code system to identify the crop health and the level of photosynthetic activity. So green color resembles the green pigment in plants known as chlorophyll, indicating higher the shade of green color that you see on the screen on the platform, it indicates a better condition of the plant's health level. Whereas any other color like orange, yellow, which you can see on the left side of the screenshot, if you can see, this is what you're looking at is a split view of a field on the crop monitoring platform. On the left side, you can see some yellow colored zones within the field, indicating that there are some problems in those yellow indicated sections of the field. Also, this, if I describe this screenshot of this on this platform, the screenshot actually describes the increase in vegetation growth from a date starting indicated as 31st March 2021 until a date of 10th May 2021, which is actually a good sign, meaning that all the practices, agricultural practices which are being carried out on this field, it is good for the plant's health, for the rapeseed's growth. But after a few days, in the slide, after a few days, you will notice the screenshot on the left side of the screen. It shows a clear sign of some deficiency in the field. As you can see, a lot of yellow colored sections or the yellow colored patch on this field, on the same field. So this indicates there is a drop in the vegetation indices, the value, the parameter, vegetation indices, the parameter which determines the health of the crops, which therefore, it also indicates the lack of nitrogen conversion in the plants, in the crops in this field. So with the help of the second tool available on the platform, that is a vegetation map, as you can see on the screenshot on the right side of the screen, right end of the screen. With the calculation of vegetation map for this field, it's easy to identify the zones that have higher, moderate, or lower vegetation zones. So our partner AgriNova can immediately consult with the farmers and provide them with the advisory to ensure that their fertilization practices, where they need to apply more fertilizers, where they need to apply less fertilizers, therefore to comply with the EU Nitrates Directive. So this is how our partner is able to achieve a success in this kind of solution, this kind of services, what they are providing to the farmers and the local customers based in Czech Republic. And also this is, if you look into this particular case, it is also a great way to optimize the quantity of fertilizers or chemicals used, and also the cost involved with the purchase of such chemicals by the farmers. So all this is done without compromising the yield, without compromising the crop output from a certain field, which is the core of the sustainable agricultural practices. With the success of this project, our partner AgriNova were able to consolidate more end-user partnerships, not only in Czech Republic, but also in neighboring countries of Poland and Slovakia, which are also like part of the Central European region. As a result, AgriNova were able to expand to new territories, new markets, and become a trusted advisor for EU Nitrates Directive in the Central European region. So I hope you like this use case. I have one more use case coming from Latin American region from our partner Agronomico. So in this use case describes how crop monitoring platform assists our Latin American partner to eliminate soil degradation in a soybean field in Paraguay. So crop monitoring platform offers a tool called zoning, vegetation maps, which I described in the previous use case. It's a part of this tool called zoning on the crop monitoring platform. So within the zoning tool, we have two options of maps, two options of variable rate application maps. One is the vegetation maps, which is used to determine the estimate or the concentration of nitrogen in the field. And the second type of VRA map, or the variable rate application map, is the productivity maps, which is more related to estimating the concentration of secondary nutrients like potassium, phosphorus, boron, sulfur, and so on, depending on the type of the soil present in that field. So within this use case, the VRA maps was extensively used to identify the need for fertilizers, to identify how much fertilizers are actually needed, must actually be applied to the fields to maintain the level of the soil quality. So if in general, VRA maps based on satellite images are useful for farmers and agribusinesses to measure the soil fertility as well, and also to assess the need for fertilization, as I already described. So conventionally, this kind of analysis was done using chemical and physical analysis of the field plots. But as our platform, it is already equipped or integrated with a feature through which we can calculate the VRA maps, then it saves a lot of time, and also it saves a lot of time for preparation of soil lab tests as well. So that's also one hidden advantages, key benefits of having a variable rate application maps on our platform. So talking about vegetation maps and productivity maps, both maps work perfectly to get a full picture of the vegetation state and the level of nutrients in the field. So as vegetation map helps in determining the level of nitrogen, productivity maps is more about level of secondary nutrients like potassium, phosphorus, boron, depending on the soil type, soil profile in that particular region. As you can see in the image at the top left of the screen, it shows the result of the vegetation map generated for a circular shaped field, which has soybean growing in it. The red colored zones signal problematic areas that probably needs a higher application of nitrogen. And in the second image that we have at the bottom of the screen, at the bottom right of the screen, you can see the productivity map result, which is generated for the same field, and it also shows small spots of red colored zones and yellow zones, indicating that those particular zones require more secondary fertilizers, secondary nutrients. Whereas the green areas in both the images, both the screenshots, indicate dense vegetation, meaning that there is no need for excessive application of nutrients or fertilizers. So in this way, our partner Agronomico is able to advise the farmers and the end users, the farming operations companies, to with an estimate on the necessary amount of fertilizers or the recommended amount of fertilizers that needs to be applied on the field, and thereby to avoid excessive fertilization to maintain the soil quality at an optimum level. So this not only results in an efficient use of fertilizers, but also maintains a healthy soil. So if you consider a healthy soil, I'm talking about preserving the organic matter in the soil, preserving the soil organisms which are mainly responsible for improving the soil quality, such as structure of the soil or aeration quality of the soil, even water retention capacity of the soil and drainage within the soil profile. So this forms the initial preliminary analysis or a basis for soil sampling for lab tests. Therefore, the farmer can cut their expenses on frequent soil fertility tests and for fertilizer applications. So as I mentioned, the crop of interest, or the crop that was growing in that particular field, the crop which our partner Agronomico is concerned with, it is soybeans. The previous slide shows a different farm. As you can see, it's a different shape, polygon shape, circular shaped farm. We had also collected another, within this use case, we had also collected more information about what were the result of the recommendations available from the zoning tool, the variable rate application maps. So in the screenshot, you can notice the most significant improvement was the increased yield over a period of 3 years, starting from 2019 until 2021. So Agronomico's fertilizer recommendation based on soil chemistry and satellite imagery analytics brought better yield for their customers. So the 3 images indicate a gradual increase in vegetation indices, the vegetation status, which can be understood with the help of the color code. As you can see in 2019, the image of the field the processed satellite imagery of the field shows a lot of red and yellow colored zones, whereas in 2020 and 2020, we see more of green color zones in the field, indicating a better vegetation state. So that is, we are visualizing the analysis of an index called NDVI, Normalized Difference Vegetation Index, at the harvesting stage of the crop. So this use case shows us how sustainability can ensure profitability, a higher crop yield, but at the same time tackle the environmental challenges like soil degradation. So as a summary to the information that I have described now related to precision agriculture, so we all do realize that agriculture is the oldest and the largest industry in most of the developing countries in terms of contribution to the GDP. And probably this is the latest industry, or I would say the newest industry that is in the world that is undergoing a digital transformation. So adoption of precision agriculture technologies or practices is the main driver behind this transformation, and its goal is to increase the food production output with optimized use of resources used in agriculture. So it's quite evident that satellite technology and development of other core technologies are rapidly changing the agriculture industry. But are there any challenges and further opportunities with satellite technologies? Let's go back to Rem and see what is her opinion on this question and know more about the technological developments in this regard. Over to you, Rem.
Sure. Thank you so much, Prish, for this, for these exciting use cases, I have to say. And I'm very happy and very excited about the opportunities, first of all, that we are seeing. The demand is increasing for AgTech. The demand is increasing for satellite imagery. We understand that customers now and end users are beginning to understand the importance of applying precision agricultural to farms worldwide. The thing is, we don't work with only farmers, as I mentioned at the beginning of this conversation. We work with various players in the ag sector. So every time we talk to consultancy agencies, ministries, various entities, financial institutions, insurance, the problems are different. However, the aim or the ultimate goals are really the same. And the goal is always to increase productivity. But how can we increase productivity that does not allow us to increase, climate change issues? We understand that climate now, it's a big problem nowadays, right? And it's affecting us, everybody. It's affecting the farms, it's affecting the planet. Everybody now is trying to understand what kind of technology I could apply that does not, let's say, bring a lot of harm to environment or to my farms. And this is the thing that our end users now are noticing, such as with the help of zoning. In our platform, with the help of tools such as productivity maps, vegetation maps, we can understand when do we need to apply that fertilizer, at what time of the year we need to apply that fertilizer, so I can take, let's say, the tractor out there and spray the fields. So that means I don't have to, of course, we cannot really stop climate change, but we can reduce the effects. So with this, for example, particular use case, we can understand that, you know what, I don't have to go out with the truck several times. I just know when exactly I need to spray that fertilizer, and that's it. So instead of using the tractor several times, I just have to result using it one time. So that means we are talking about a reduction of CO2. If we talk about the weather information is extremely important. Of course, by looking back at historical data, we can go back in time, we can understand the trend of precipitation, of rain, floods, and so forth. We can understand future patterns, right? We can talk about weather forecasts. We can understand if let's say we're going to have natural precipitation out there, then I will know that I don't have to go out there in the field and do irrigation. I don't have to plant for extra irrigation, or vice versa. If I see that I'm not going to have any precipitation in the coming weeks, then I know that I need to plan with my colleagues, or let's say with the other agronomists out there in the fields, in order to do extra irrigation out there. So that means the ultimate result is, again, to have higher yield down the line. And this is what we see with all of our customers, with all of these various use cases. The same thing when we talk also about deforestation. We are talking about illegal, for example, logging activities. We are talking about illegal deforestation by various entities out there. And with the help of such platforms, we are able to immediately receive alerts. We are able to receive information. We are able to receive those email notifications that, you know what, your NDVI is dropping. When an NDVI drops, it means that there is some sort of problem happening out there. So when selective indices in our forestry platform, and when we talk about, again, precision agricultural as a whole, when we see that there is a drop in a selective index, that means there is a problem out there. If we can, if we connect this to forestry, then I will know that something is happening there, and we really have to take, extra steps. We have to take precautions here that, what, deforestation is happening. We have to go out there and immediately try to solve this issue. And, within EOSDA, we work with partners, as I mentioned, in Africa, in Southeast Asia, heavily with oil palm, for example, users. We work in LATAM region as well, North America. We see an increase, we see a demand for this kind of tech. And this is the thing, there are so many technologies out there, right? We have IoT sensors, we have hardware, but we see the trend that satellite imagery is the trend to go with, right? Is the technology to go with, because we don't have to, to go out there. We don't have to resort to using extra hardware and extra chemicals, because again, the platforms that we develop, or let's say this technology overall, it does give us the ability to monitor things in advance, to predict things in advance. That's why at EOSDA, we're always trying to, to listen to the feedback that we receive from customers. We're always trying to adapt, or let's say, first of all, adapt to practices that have been observed, by various users, but at the same time, we are trying to come up with technologies that does not only tell you, about what is happening out there, but why certain things are happening. And in 2023, we have an exciting roadmap ahead of us. One of the most anticipated features is the pest and disease prediction. Also, if we talk about forestry, we are talking about tree classification as well. Of course, we will share more information down the line. But I would say that the biggest thing, or let's say not the biggest thing perhaps, but the biggest announcement we're going to have for this year is the launch of the world's first truly agro-focused satellite constellation in the market. And that's going to be a game changer. We are, as I said, we are a software company, right? So we take satellite imagery, we analyze them, we provide analytics for various end users, but we realize that users at the moment, they want something more than just simple monitoring, right? Yes, the platform does provide information what is happening, but we also want the AI that stands behind this technology to tell us what is happening out there, why this is happening. If I see that, let's say, again, certain indices are increasing, or let's say are decreasing, which is not a good sign, of course, then why this is happening. And that's going to be possible with this constellation. The first launch of the EOS SAT is set for December 6th this year from the States. And then we're going to have 2 more SATs launched each year. So by 2024, we should have the entire constellation consisting of 7 SATs up there, and we'll be able to cover 100% of all the ag land around the world, including forestry, because again, forestry is something that, yes, released the platform last year, but we are adding features, and we're going to be adding more features. However, if we talk about forestry, we are talking about huge areas of land that are needed to be monitored on I would say every other day, if not on a daily basis. And with this satellite constellation, we will be able to cover 900,000 square kilometers on a daily basis, making it an extremely powerful satellite. We are talking about a 1-day revisit on tasking. Again, we can monitor, or let's say provide imagery plus analytics, which is the core value of what EOS does, on a, let's say, so special tasking, as I like to call it, right? So we can do that upon request. The resolution is going to be multispectral and panchromatic, 2.8 meters and 1.4 meters respectively. Exclusive data ownership, so we can talk also about exclusivity with selective players worldwide. The revisit time is going to be much higher, and of course, access to historical data will be available. Now, the question that I usually get asked is, why do you need another satellite constellation out there when there are already so many out there? We already have Sentinels, right? We have Landsats. We have the major commercial available satellites out there, which tend to be a bit on more expensive side. But, the answer is quite simple. So as I said, we have the experience as a software company, and we've been using data from the publicly available SATs. However, they do present certain challenges. Some of those challenges are that low resolution, which is not, I would say, acceptable if we are talking about small fields. We work with a lot of partners in Africa. We work with a lot of partners in Asia. And the thing is, the average field size is barely 2 hectares. Sentinels cannot cover that. We need a much powerful satellites. Clouds are an issue for any satellite out there, especially if we talk about, let's say, areas such as Southeast Asia, where we have the monsoon season running for several months throughout the year, which makes it extremely difficult to capture an image over those areas. Data is public, so that means really any company could get their hands on this data and build the same kind of technology. Inability to test specific areas. This is what I was talking about when we talk about like selective tasking upon request, right? And not enough revisit dates. Sometimes end users would like to get imagery every other day, which is a bit difficult, I would say, with those satellites. But now the commercial satellites, they do come in. And the thing is, they do solve some of those challenges that I just talked about. But again, they are extremely expensive satellites. The data is expensive. When we think about agricultural, we are talking about an industry that does not like to spend a lot of money. So we have to think of a solution that is, I would say, cost efficient, but at the same time reliable. We have to talk about providing acceptable data at an acceptable price. Limited spectral bands, especially when we talk about agro purposes. With all the experience that we have accumulated over the years, we've done a lot of custom solutions. We are building a lot of interesting products out there, such as the SOC model, soil organic carbon model. We are building, I mean, you're going to probably be reading a lot of those news very soon this year and also in upcoming 2023. But we realized that if you really want to provide amazing, accurate results, 90% or even more, you need selective bands. And this is what we've understood, that really, in order to dominate the market, in order to provide exceptional results, you need to have selective bands that will be able to provide the data that we are looking for, or the end users are looking for. Limited capacity, this is what I was talking about. An average satellite out there could map out up to 50,000 square kilometers, 60,000, while our satellite will be able to cover 900,000. So, and this is actually a very important point and a critical one for forestry, because for forestry, we are talking about monitoring vast lands, and this has to be done on, let's say, every other day or every 2 days. So this what makes, I would say, or positions the EOS sat at a much higher level. So this satellite, and again, I mean, as I said, we've been working with various end users, and we realized that the importance of EOSData combined with the analytics, because the core value of what we provide revolves around analytics. And we've understood that for food producers, it's really about providing them with data that will allow them to really understand how they need to manage their processes internally, what they need to do, how they can solve certain challenges at a critical time. We are talking about, also input suppliers, getting more transparency about their partnerships with their end users. They can provide also, or we can provide, I would say, historical data, because again, the more you can go back in time and extract the data, the more information, let's say, the more analytics that you can gather in order to really understand what is happening or what's going to happen. What am I going to anticipate in the near future? And hopefully, let's say, in the far future. For insurance, it's about managing multiple operations with precision. It's about building that transparency. We also work a lot with banks. We work with, and again, I mean, banks and insurance there's a very thin line between the two. But again, they're all talking about, or they would like to have data that allows them to build a more transparent relationship, but at the same time, that will also allow them to invest, or to, monitor the investment health, let's say, at every stage of their crop development. For AgTech, for governments, again, they do love to get their hands on custom solutions, especially when we talk about large areas. So this, again, gives us, I would say, the support that we need in order to really launch the SAT, and in order to make it as attractive as possible for those, end users. Just, to also, I mean, we are reaching the end of our webinar, but I also wanted to talk about how EOSData and sustainability is sort of interconnected, right? So not only EOSDA, it aligns with the UN SDGs framework, but also the constellation itself does. And we align with 6 pillars. So we are talking about reduction of CO2 emissions in agriculture, which is one of our top goals. We are we are referring to cut back on energy consumption, reduction in food waste, eliminating pesticide and fertilizer overuse. And this is one of the key things that EOSDA will be focusing on in the upcoming months. Enabling food producers to weather climate impact. Again, we just actually switched to a new provider in our platform, where we can go back not only to 2012, but also back to the 80s to get historical data. And of course, the accuracy is much better. And we cannot really eliminate food crisis, but we are trying to mitigate it, right? We are trying to reduce all the harmful impacts of CO2, right? So we are trying to provide farmers and end users, regardless of the vertical that they come from, with the technology that they need in order, again, to increase their yield production, because again, that is actually the ultimate goal. So thank you so much for tuning so far with us. We are gonna move, I would say, to the most exciting part, or the part that I love the most, which is the Q&A. We have seen some pretty interesting questions. And Sergio, I believe that we have a lot of questions to you. So if you could please perhaps turn your camera and mic on, and I will be asking you interesting questions from our attendees.
Sure.
So one of the questions was, what is the largest contributor to deforestation in your areas, right? Is it logging, farming, or is it climate change?
Well, most of the main drivers, I mean, it's agriculture for sure, agriculture expansion over the forest areas, and it's not regulated. But in the last years, most of the deforestation is caused by livestock, by cattle ranching for livestock. At the moment, is the main threat for our forests. Yes, for sure.
I see. And when we talk about the forest property, are they public, or are they public in most of those areas where you've noticed an increase in deforestation?
Well, yeah, deforestation in the areas that we work. I mean, maybe 10 years ago, deforestation was most over public lands. But in the coming years, in the last years, deforestation starts happening in private properties, in private fields, because also the government start to give to private companies or owners to those public lands, and after that deforestation happens in terms of legal or illegal, depending on the case. Yes, but it's changing to private. For that's the answer. Yeah.
Right. I see. And you just mentioned government. So how are the governments taking actions in order to address the concerns that you generate, or that Greenpeace generates in their reports?
Yeah. Well, from the end of 2007, we have a national forest law. I think I mentioned in the presentation that that law was a national law that, in brief, it orders the forest territory and establish where it is possible or not to make land use change, or to have, or to practice like sustainable development. But at the moment, we detect that the government is not controlling that the application of that forest law. So we start also asking about more sanctions, or more strict sanctions in terms of penalties. So yeah, it's working, but also not working good. So the government now, the discussion in our country is how to have modification of this national forest law that is like the umbrellas for forest protection, and have more strict sanctions for.
Is that what you're also trying to do in Gran Chaco area?
Yeah. At the moment we're working on that. We are working on changing the national forest law, and also we have a presentation in the Supreme Court to protect a species, a species, the shower, that is like it's very in critical state of endanger in Gran Chaco. It's almost 20 individuals to less in that area, so just in the Gran Chaco in Argentina. So we have a presentation there, and we're waiting for stop deforestation, stop the destruction of its habitat. So that's our two lines of work at the moment here in Argentina.
Fingers crossed, Sergio.
Thank you.
All right. We also have a couple of questions. Vera, you touched upon various social cases. And I remember the first time when I read the case that we just recently launched, the work with the activists in Africa, I was like, well, this is fascinating. And the first question that came to my mind was, are we going to have more? Are there any other social case studies that you are working on or that you are willing to consider? What are our, let's say, our next steps in terms of that?
Oh, well, yeah, of course. Well, right now we're working on a very nice social case studies. It's about Munduruku people from Brazil. It's indigenous people from Brazil. And we are looking into illegal mining. And we can see the illegal mining from the satellites. And I think this case will be launched in about 2 weeks. And we're also working on one case about Iowa cornfields. And we are looking for a positive echo case study, because we understand that all of this sounds a bit devastating. So we know that there are so many people working to restore and preserve this earth. So we are looking for the positive echo study. And of course, we are willing to consider anyone else who's sharing our values. Thank you.
So this is a hidden message to the attendees here, right? So if any of our attendees have any case, any social case that they know is happening in their local region, but they would like us, they want our help, right? They want our data, or our data could help with the outcome, similar to the ones that we talked about during the webinar today, then please do reach out to us, because I'm sure Vera would love to get her hands on this, these social case studies.
Please do.
All right. Thank you, Vera. And probably, actually, Brijesh, I have a question to you. So you talked about LandViewer, right? Which acts, I would say, as a marketplace for various providers, right? As I understood, we are providing, well, various satellite imagery, so customers can just get their hands on the data. They can understand what kind of bands, they can, I would say, choose the bands that they would like to consider and to apply to their area of interest. Now, what is the future for LandViewer? Are we working on, as a strategic lead at EOSDA, are we working on establishing more partnerships? What does the future look like?
Well, that's a good question. Thank you, Rem. And also thank you for posting this question from the audience. Well, we do have, I would say, an incremental development plan for the LandViewer platform. So as the platform now already provides access to more than 20 satellite data sources. So we are planning to add more third-party data providers, integrate more, connect to more third-party data providers to the platform, so that our customers will have access to more options to get the customized output, as I described in today's presentation. So this will be our first priority. And as we are also launching EOSat constellation this December, and the entire constellation by 2024. So EOSat data will all be used not only on crop monitoring or agricultural and forest monitoring purposes, but it will also be used as an optional data source on LandViewer. And with that said, we are also planning to launch a different satellite constellation named EOS-SAR in 2024, which will be another constellation with satellites equipped with radar-based sensors. So we will definitely integrate the data from the EOS-SAR constellation to provide more options for our customer, for the platform users, in terms of the hyperspectral data available from the LandViewer. And while we develop our LandViewer platform, we also want to expand the services that are possible from the LandViewer, like for other sectors, for example, like for mining sector. We already have an experience in the mining sector. For instance, like we are already active with mining-related projects like European Commission's GoldenEye Horizon 2020 project, which is about monitoring of open-pit mines and waste dumps in 5 European countries. Those are Germany, Bulgaria, Romania, Finland, and Kosovo. So we are contributing with data like slope stability for open-pit mines and waste dumps, temperature measurement for the waste dumps, sizing of stockpiles, and so on. So we would love to add features, related features on the LandViewer, so that more an extensive customer base can get leverage the services from the LandViewer.
See, this is, I mean, this is fascinating. And I know that at EOSDA, we have been focusing on crop monitoring. We've been focusing on forestry. We've been focusing on custom solutions. But I'm glad that LandViewer now is also getting some spotlight, right? That we are showcasing LandViewer. We are showcasing amazing use cases that we talked about. And I mean, I'm really excited about what the future holds for LandViewer, and I'm hoping we can perhaps have I would say, another revisit, another webinar, maybe a year from now, to talk about what changed before, after effects, and I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Sure, that will be a great opportunity to look into those added features, the added data sources that we have on the platform.
Yep, thank you so much, Brij. Attendees, please join me in welcoming our speakers today. I would say this concludes the end of our webinar. I understand that a lot of you are asking for the recording. Please remember that we will be sharing the recording with you this week. Our marketing will be sending out email to all the attendees, so you'll have the opportunity to rewatch the presentation of the webinar. And also, if you have any questions, for any business questions or inquiries, partnership, do reach out to EOSDA. And if you have any questions to Greenpeace, to Sergio in particular, please use the email that you see on your screen in order to address all your questions. So thank you so much once again. It was a pleasure to talk to you, and also to share knowledge and share our upcoming news. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.